Hello everybody, welcome to my E3 2021 predictions! Just another person on the internet making predictions for Nintendo's E3 2021 show. Now listen, as much as I would love to say that my predictions are going to be unique and interesting and mind-blowing, I'm kind of going to say no. I think what you're going to hear here is probably what you have heard elsewhere. However, I do have some different takes. I think I'm talking mostly about the same games everyone will be talking about, but I disagree with others and some on what games will be there and won't be there and how it will be there. And this is less to do with what games we think are going to be there and more games that I think how they will be there, when they will come out, how much we're going to see of it, etc., etc. We're basically going to go by series and discuss what games will be coming in each series. Let's get started first with the Switch Pro, or whatever it is called, the successor to the Switch, or more of an upgrade to the Switch, similar to like the PS4 Pro, or most consoles these days get kind of like a middle of the line, or middle, when they're in the middle of their lifespan, they get a upgraded console. So it's not super out there to kind of see the writing on the wall that it should be coming soon. The Switch has been out for 3 years now? 4 years. Oh my god. It's been out for 4 years now. And I think it's safe to say that it probably will have another 4 years. I mean, the Switch sales are out of the world. Where this console is going, it's going to be one of the, maybe if not the number one, most likely number two best-selling console of all time. I mean, it's going off the shelves like crazy. And I think it makes sense to keep the Switch going as long as possible. However, undeniably, we need an upgrade. Even when the Switch first came out, when I was playing Breath of the Wild, I knew that this was not a super powerful console, which is fine for what it is, being a handheld hybrid console. However, it's time we get a Switch Pro. It's needed. There are games that come out on the Switch that are, in some ways, not wholly unplayable, but there's some sections that are borderline unplayable with their frame rates and their performance issues. There are ports that come over that are just so downgraded they're almost not worth getting, even though the hook of it being a console you can take with you is not enough to sell me, at least, on some of these games. I want a Switch Pro, and while I want one more than ever, I think it makes sense that now would be the time to come. On top of it being heavily rumored, people are suggesting that it will be coming very, very soon. And I do believe the Switch Pro is coming. And I do believe it's going to be shown off in this E3. However, the press conference, or the Direct, I should say, the E3 Direct is only 40 minutes with a 3-hour treehouse, which is exciting. But I wholeheartedly believe that we're going to see the Switch Pro, but not much of it. I don't think we're going to get like 10, 15 minutes of it. I think what they're going to do is they're going to show off the Switch Pro. They're going to announce it and say, hey, the Switch Pro is coming. Here is, a look of it. More details coming soon. And I think later in the summer, maybe in July, probably August, they will do a whole blowout show regarding the Switch Pro. And they'll be talking about which games will be launching with it, etc., etc. People are saying they think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to launch with it. I actually disagree with that. I think it makes sense. Nintendo should do that, but Nintendo doesn't always do what makes sense. And I also don't think Breath of the Wild 2 is coming as soon as people think it is, but I'll get to that later. Regardless of that, I personally see the Switch Pro coming out later this year. It makes sense to have it be a holiday thing, maybe around the time with the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes are coming out. In my opinion, that would make the most sense, and I think this E3, they're not going to blow out and go over all the specs and what it can do, but they'll basically just confirm that, yes, the Switch Pro is coming. We'll have a whole presentation about it, our own presentation about it, later in the summer. Let's now move on to our first franchise from Nintendo, Mario. Now, Mario is easily Nintendo's flagship franchise. It rakes in the most money. It obviously is always one of their top selling IPs, if not the top selling IP. However, I think Mario is actually going to be very chill this E3. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Mario. We obviously have Mario Golf coming out next month. I'm sure people will find that fun. Not really for me, but I can see the appeal to it. But I think that maybe briefly touch over that, but we're not getting a sequel to Odyssey. I really don't think so, for another specific reason I'll talk about in a little bit. But I just don't think it's time. I think that they would have released that. They would have pushed for it last year during the anniversary or earlier this year. Most likely last year during the holiday season. I just don't think it's happening. However, I don't think Mario is going to be completely absent from this. I think that we are not almost definitely, but I'm confident. I know I've said this for a few years now, that we are absolutely going to get Super Mario Party 2 here. I think it's time. They just released the online update, which I wholeheartedly believe was like a beta test. They kind of wanted to see how it worked, and it makes no sense for them to release it this late into Super Mario Party. Like, it's not really, it's a popular game, I'm sure, still, but like, it's not popular enough to release this whole update for it. I truly believe they use that as a beta testing ground to see how it works, how people's reaction to it, to see whether or not they would implement that into Super Mario Party 2, which I think would make sense. I'm hoping it's way more fleshed out. Hopefully it's a lot more, of a deeper game. I like Super Mario Party a lot. It just didn't have the depth that early Mario Party games have. At least it was a step in the right direction compared to the last like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 Mario Parties. I think it was the best Mario Party game in like 10 years or maybe even longer than that, but it still had a lot to be desired, and the Mario Party franchise as a whole really needs a game that is just wholeheartedly solid as hell, and I'm hoping that Super Mario Party 2 is that. In terms of Mario Kart, people want to see Mario Kart 9, and I know it feels like it's that time. I don't think it's that time. I'm thinking Mario Kart's next year. They just released Home Circuit. Mario Kart Tour is pretty popular, rather. And at this point, Mario Kart 8 sells so well every year. Like, or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, rather, sells super well every year. I just doesn't make sense for them to release one yet, and I just think I think that there isn't really that much of a demand for Mario Kart in terms of a new Mario Kart. I know people would love it; it would sell like hotcakes, but I feel like there's enough buzz around Mario Kart right now where I feel like they want to spread that out, right? If they release Mario Kart 9 next year, maybe they'll have DLC for a year or two after, but then after that they're not going to have a Mario Kart for a couple of years, and it'll be dry. They've really exhausted the series like the last couple of years, and I think that's fine. I think it's cool to just not have Mario Kart this year, but I could see it being possible. I think it's way more likely than a whole new Mario game, but I truly think those are the only possibilities for Mario this year. I think he's chilling, taking a break, gotta do what he gotta do. But let's move on to one of Nintendo's other flagship franchises, being The Legend of Zelda. So obviously, we're probably going to see Skyward Sword HD. I don't expect too much here, just like being like, hey, the game's coming out. Here you go, have at it. And people will probably be like, all right, that's fine. There are people speculating that there may be Twilight Princess, Wind Waker HD, either sold separately or bundled together. And I would like that a lot. I just don't think it's happening, personally. I don't think they would release that in the same year with Skyward Sword HD. And if they were, a part of me thinks that they would bundle them into 3 games and kind of do like a Mario All-Stars thing. Now, maybe they're planning to do that with Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess. I mean, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD are some of the 2 only games from the Wii U that's not on the Switch, so it's possible they bring them over. I just don't think it's happening now. I think they're probably going to save that for next year. And I honestly, as shitty as it would be and a pretty bad business practice, I could see Nintendo even releasing them separately next year. I know no one wants to hear that, but I think that's more possible. Once Skyward Sword HD has sort of, had its spot in the limelight, there is only one game that I'm pretty confident that we're going to see here, and that, of course, is Breath of the Wild 2. They confirmed earlier this year that we are going to see it sometime this year, and I think now is the time. If we don't see Breath of the Wild 2 this year, I think E3 2021 from Nintendo's perspective is a massive disappointment. This is the hypest game they have coming out, and I think they should hype it up for what it is. However, I think people maybe are expecting this game, even this year, and I think those people are a little bit too excited. I see this as coming out next year. People are saying like maybe it'll come out in March, like the first one did, and it's possible, but I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come until summer of next year, like around E3, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, and I even could see it being a holiday game next year. I think this game has a lot going on. I think they're going to make this game the boldest Zelda game they've ever made. And I think that, you know, it's obviously reusing the map from the first game, but I think they're going to obviously drastically change it to the point where it basically is a new map. And I think that they're going to really focus on the story and dungeons a lot more. And I think those are going to take a lot of time to develop. I really don't see this game coming out till next year, maybe early next year, maybe middle next year, or even possibly late next year. But I suppose we'll have to see. I just don't think it's possible it's coming out this year. And I think we would have seen it by now, or at least seen more teases of it by now if it were coming out this year. The next series we're going to move on to is no other than Donkey Kong. Now, the only reason I'm touching upon this series is because there's a heavy rumor going around that there's a new Donkey Kong game coming out, a new 3D Donkey Kong game made by the Mario Odyssey team. Now, if this is true, it would kind of, you know, double down my prediction that we're not going to see another Odyssey game for obvious reasons. They're working on this, and I would be really excited for this. I love Tropical Freeze, and I wouldn't mind seeing another 2D Donkey Kong game. It's possible. I think people are speculating it's 3D, and I think that would be awesome because it's been a long time since we have a 3D Donkey Kong game. Really, the only fully fleshed 3D Donkey Kong game was Donkey Kong 64, and it's been, you know, forever since we had a good Donkey Kong game, because Donkey Kong 64 is not that. Sorry, roasted. But listen, I would love to see Donkey Kong. I think his games are like one of Nintendo's most underrated games. It's a franchise that almost never misses, especially with their mainline games, and I just would love to see a new one of them, and I think it's very possible. We really don't have a dedicated Donkey Kong game on the Switch. Tropical Freeze is a port, and a really good one at that, but I think that we are going to get in Donkey Kong game. I think this is true. The rumors just make sense, and I could see this coming out this year. I could also see it coming out maybe like early summer next year, but I think it would be smart for them to have something coming out this year, or at least early next year. Besides the Pokemon game coming out late this year and early next year, it's all we really have right now. So Donkey Kong will probably be in there somewhere, and I'm hoping it is. Now we're moving on to Kirby, which is also getting a pretty big rumor. Actually, this isn't even rumored. We're way more confident that Kirby's coming because the studio has confirmed they're making a new Kirby game. On top of that, they said it is going to be part of like a new Kirby era. It's going to be one of the most like boldest Kirby games ever, which a lot of people are speculating from that means it's going to be 3D. I don't know how much I'm on that train. Trust me, a 3D Kirby game would be amazing. We've never had one. The closest we have is like Kirby's Air Ride with like City Trial. That's 3D, but like it's not really a Kirby game as much as it is a racing game. I would love to have a Kirby game in 3D. Trust me, I love Kirby just as much as anyone. Star Allies was fine, a little bit bland, and I think that we could absolutely use a 3D Kirby game and a bold one. I'm not super sold this is 3D because they did say they're taking it in a bold direction, and I know people want to see 3D Kirby, but I don't know about it. I don't know because it's hard for me to conceptualize how they would do it. You know, it's like it's very hard for me to picture, and I doesn't mean just because I think it's hard to picture it won't happen. A part of me just doesn't think it's going to happen, but I do think they are going to take the series in a bold direction. Hopefully it is 3D, but a part of me is skeptical on that. But I'm not skeptical that we're going to see it here. I think it's 100% not 100% likely, but very, very possible. I say like 60%, 70% chance we see it here. We know it's coming, and if we don't see it here, we're going to see it probably before the next year's E3 and a Nintendo Direct or something, because it just makes sense. Star Allies was shown off at E3, I believe it was 2017. So just give it to us here. It makes sense. Do it. Why not? Bring it on. Let's get it. The next series I want to talk about, or I guess game I want to talk about, is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, there is no doubt that we are getting Smash DLC here. I think that is actually the only thing we can actually be 100% sure of. I know Breath of the Wild 2 is like I'm very confident in, as well as Kirby, but really the only thing we know for sure is they're not going to do an E3 without revealing a Smash character. I think the question comes in on if they're going to release, or announce rather, one Smash character or two Smash characters. A part of me is thinking we're only getting one. I think it would be kind of cool to see the last two, but a part of me thinks that with COVID going on and with the development, being a lot slower, I think that, they're going to stick with one. I could see them announcing 2 and one of them coming out the next month and then the second one coming out like way later in the year. But I just think they're going to stick with 1 and then announce the second in their own terms. People are speculating if there's going to be a Fighters Pass 3. I don't think so. I think they're just exhausted this game so much, and to their credit, they should have. This is a game that I want them to exhaust, but I just think that they're not going to announce a Fighters Pass 3. But I do think it's very possible that they have bonus fighters, maybe like 1, 2, maybe even 3 bonus fighters that come out after the second pack is done, where they just kind of go, we'll announce them here and there, and they'll come out when they come out, but for now, we're pretty much done in developing this game, which would make sense. If that's the case, then I could see them announcing both characters here and then focusing on bonus characters and stuff like that throughout. Or it's possible there are just only 2 characters left. I think that is both of those options are way more likely than getting a whole nother Fighters Pass. I think this is the last Fighters Pass, and I think that there probably are only 2 characters left, and I think we're only going to see 1 here. For who it could be, I could see a lot of options. Crash Bandicoot seems to be the community's most agreed upon character reveal, and I think that probably makes the most sense. It would be a character from PlayStation. It would be a character that just fits the game's vibe. It just fits the game's style, and it would just further cement this game as a legacy video game fighting series or game, I suppose. The ultimate Smash Brothers, indeed. But that being said, I don't know. I think Crash is likely. I think we could see Mortal Kombat. I've been pushing that since the Fighters Pass 2 was announced, that we might get a Mortal Kombat character. I really could see that. Crash and Mortal Kombat are both really popular right now. I think it's also possible that we maybe get a Pokemon, as much as I don't want that. I think it's possible, although I hope Nintendo's a little smarter than that to reveal that during an E3, if that is the case. My dream character is probably Dante from Devil May Cry. That actually has a strong possibility. Those are really all I can see, but it's so hard to pick Smash characters at this point. It could be fucking anybody, and that's what makes predicting it so much fun, and also kind of so futile. But I suppose we'll see. But I'm predicting 1 DLC fighter here, and it's going to be a third-party one, and it's going to be pretty exciting. All right, let's talk about a big boy series here, Metroid. Now, a lot of people are saying they expect Metroid to show up in a big way, and I hope they're right, but I'm predicting they're wrong. I don't think we're going to get Metroid Prime 4. I really do not. I think Metroid Prime 4 is 1 or 2 years away, either a 2022 or 2023 video game, or one of those two. We'll have to see if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty fucking confident in that. But I do think it's possible that if we do get Metroid Prime 4, it is a very, very small tease. I am not one who believes that. I don't think we're going to get that, but I do think we are going to get announced, what will be announced rather, is another Metroid game, a 2D one, a smaller scale one, maybe like a port or a remake on the Switch. I would love to see Samus Returns. I've never got to play Samus Returns because it came out when I was pretty much just done with my 3DS and I didn't want to play a 3DS game, although I'm confident I would like it a lot. Maybe a remake of Super Metroid is very possible. It's also possible we get a Metroid Prime trilogy. I could see that happening. I think all that is possible, but I am not super confident that we're going to get any Metroid here. But if we do, I think it will be along the vein in that. If I see Metroid Prime 4 here in a big way and they're talking about it, I will be very shocked. I don't imagine that. What I imagine is probably in a direct at the end of this year or sometime early next year, we'll kind of get confirmation that Metroid Prime 4 is coming still, and Retro is almost done with it, and we'll get a little teaser trailer, and then we'll have a big blowout E3 with that being one of the main focuses, because that is a game that primarily targets the West. It appeals to Western audiences, which is why I think people are expecting to see it at E3. I just don't think it's ready. I mean, they scrapped the game entirely. Metroid Prime was pretty advanced game for when it came out. The first two and the early two, even the third one, I guess, all of them coming out in the early mid 2000s. But I just think that at this point, if they're going to release a Metroid Prime game, they're going to try to make it as technologically advanced as possible. Make it very bold, interactive, and I just think that that's going to take time. I have full faith in Retro, but I have no doubt they're going to take their time with this game, and it's not going to come out until 2022, late 2022, or sometime in 2023, and therefore I don't think we're going to see it here. I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I genuinely don't believe we're going to see it here. Now, Fire Emblem is one of Nintendo's big franchise, whether you want to admit it or not. I am a huge Fire Emblem fan. Three Houses was my favorite Fire Emblem game out of all of them. And I think that we are going to see Fire Emblem here, but if we do, it's probably going to be a remake. People are speculating about that. I would love a Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn remake. Those are two Fire Emblem games I have never got to play. I've seen them. I've seen most of those games through watching other people play it and online, but I have never been able to get my hands on them. They're super expensive, and it's the two Fire Emblem games I have not got to play that I really want to play. So maybe like a double pack remake of those games are very possible. If not, then I don't know. Like maybe an older remake. I don't know. I don't see Fire Emblem here. I don't think it's time for a new game. I think that they're going to try to do something kind of bold and interesting. And I think it's going to be a year or two before we get a new Fire Emblem game. And I think even if we do, they wouldn't reveal that at E3. I think that's a smaller direct reveal. But like with all these predictions, I hope I'm wrong, and I really do, but I don't think we're going to see Fire Emblem here at all. But like I said, if we do, it's just going to be a remake. Now, Splatoon is interesting because obviously they announced Splatoon 3 in the last Direct, but whether or not we're going to see Splatoon 3, I don't think so. Maybe a little bit. Honestly, I don't think that they need to. This is coming out next year. This game is Splatoon. It's going to sell well. I think it's a summer game next year, so I think they're really going to focus on it in their own directs. They'll have not only their big directs where they'll focus on it, but their own Splatoon directs in which they'll focus on it. I could see this game playable at E3 because it looks like it was in pretty far development when they showed it off. But I am not I'm not super sold that we're going to get a huge blowout of the Splatoon 3, nor do I really want that. But I think that they will, if they do show it, they'll focus on it for maybe like 3, 5, 6 minutes with a new trailer. Maybe explain the story a little bit, but I don't think we're going to get a huge blowout of Splatoon 3, and I don't think we need to. I think, if anything, they're going to do that more with Breath of the Wild 2. But I could see them slightly touching on it and then playing a lot of it in the treehouse. I could see that, but I don't know. We'll see. We might get some Splatoon 3 here. It would not shock me, but I don't think we're going to get the blowout that some people are expecting. The next series that I'm going to talk about is Pokemon, and I'm going to really talk about this really briefly. I don't think we're going to get Pokemon at E3, because every single year, Pokemon pretty much does their own pre-E3 show. Now, it's possible we don't get that, because they did just do, for their, 25th anniversary, they did a huge kind of like blowout, sort of like, show. I just don't think it's coming. I don't think that they're going to do a huge E3 Pokemon reveal. I think we'll see it at the Treehouse for sure, but with the Direct now, I think they're going to have their own thing before, and they might just even skip on that. And if they do, we know enough about the Diamond and Pearl remakes and Pokemon Legends Arceus, although I would like to see more Pokemon Legends Arceus to determine if I'm going to get it or not, because as of right now, it's a big question mark for me if that game can even run properly. I guess we'll have to see. I think that there's a very, good chance that those games show up in the Treehouse, but for the Direct, I don't think so. Not at all. We're either going to get a pre-E3 Nintendo Direct, or Pokemon Direct rather, like we always do, or they just won't show up and they'll be there in the Treehouse. Nothing besides that. All right, I want to do kind of a quick lightning round for some other series that we could possibly see. I think Xenoblade is pretty possible, whether it be a port of Xenoblade Chronicles X or something like that. We're not going to get a new Xenoblade, I don't think. I think it's a little too soon for that, but I could see a port of Xenoblade Chronicles X. Very possible, but that's about it for me. I'm a huge WarioWare fan, and I really don't think we've had a really solid console WarioWare game since the Wii. I would love to see the return of WarioWare, and I think that'd be a great Treehouse game to show off there too. I am a little skeptical though. It just seems like they don't really, have a lot of faith in WarioWare, and I just, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm a little skeptical. Don't think it's happening. Pikmin 4, I kind of have the same sentiments. I would love to have a new Pikmin. Pikmin 3 just came out on the Switch, sold extremely well. I think it's possible. If it gets announced, it's definitely going to be a spring-summer 2022 game, which I think would work, and I think that would be a good focus. I just don't think it's happening. I don't know. This game has kind of been in development hell for a long time. If it even is still in development, we're not really sure. And I don't think it's going to get announced. I just think Pikmin is kind of going to have to wait. I'm thinking maybe next E3, but even then, I'm not super confident. I don't know. Pikmin just kind of, since the second game happened with the third one, it just kind of went into limbo for what, like how many years? Like damn near 9-10 years. That was about 9 years, and I think that's probably going to be the same case here. I'm expecting Pikmin maybe a couple of years from now, maybe a year or two from now, but I really don't see it. Hope I am wrong, but I really don't see it. Bayonetta 3 is a game I really want to see. It's probably, besides Breath of the Wild, the game I am most hyped coming to the Switch, but the creator has said it's coming along, and then he has said, well, it'll come when it comes. We're working on other stuff, so this game kind of seems to be in a weird spot. And Bayonetta 2, obviously, since after Bayonetta, this franchise was dropped, and Nintendo picked it up and saved it, it was kind of in development limbo for a long time. And Bayonetta 3 doesn't have that same excuse, except Platinum has their own studio now. They're their own company. They are doing a lot of projects, a lot they are working on. And I just think that they kind of picked up a lot of stuff and they're busy on other things, and Bayonetta 3 is just something that they focus on when they focus on, and they probably are focusing on it. But as if we're gonna see it, I think it's possible. I think this is a good chance that we get a trailer for it. I don't think it's coming for a long time, maybe like fall 2022 or maybe even early 2023. I don't know. I think out of all the franchises, maybe besides Xenoblade that I've just talked about, I think that Bayonetta 3 has a pretty good chance. I think we might see Bayonetta 3 here. And I'm gonna predict we are, because I know I've been kind of down, right? I've been saying we're not gonna see this, we're not gonna see that, but it's still, if you put everything I put together, I think we're gonna see the Switch Pro. I think we're gonna get a new Mario Party. I think we're gonna see I know we're gonna see Breath of the Wild 2. I think we're gonna see both rumored Donkey Kong and Kirby games. I think it's very possible that we get a sort of like 2D Metroid game shown off, Splatoon 3, very possible, and Bayonetta 3. I mean, that's a really good show right there with all that in 40 minutes with some third-party stuff and other stuff like trickled in. I just don't think we're going to see everything I just mentioned. I mean, you can't show everything I just said in a 40-minute direct. Like, they're going to have to focus on things, a little bit here, but they could make it snappy and just go snap, 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 snap through everything, and that's what I like what they do. I hope they do that, but we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. Those are pretty much my E3 predictions. I don't think we're going to get any other dream predictions. We're not getting a Kid Icarus. Sorry, I know everyone wants that. We're not getting it. Yoshi's not happening, a little too soon for that. And yeah, those are pretty much all of my predictions. So let me know in the comments if you agree with me or disagree with me. I pretty much touched on everything that people are predicting. And I think that I'm a little less, optimistic that we're going to get as much as people are saying. But I think what we are going to get, Breath of the Wild 2, a Switch Pro, and Donkey Kong and Kirby game, like that's enough for me. Breath of the Wild 2, honestly, is enough for me, if I'm being completely honest. But I think that that's all plenty good. I think that's exactly what we're going to get. And a new Smash character, of course, as well. On top of that, I am hyped as fuck for this Nintendo E3. I think they're going to kill it this year. And I can't wait to see what they do. Of course, I'll be covering it live on my Twitch channel on Tuesday, on the 15th, I will be starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, with the show starting at noon. I will be live reacting and covering the Direct and the Treehouse, so you can come hang out and watch it with me. Always blast having you guys watch with me every year and get my hype reactions. I will also post my reaction to YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. And thanks for watching, and hopefully Nintendo kills it this year. I really think they're going to, and we'll see what they decide to do. Until next time, guys, peace out.